Good morning, my friends. This is Michael Green with Inspector USA. Hope your Christmas is going well. I'm making this video this morning simply to remind those that know and to inform those that do not of Governor Bevin's actions about a week ago to basically take over the entire Kentucky real estate market by executive order. On December, let's see, was it 2nd? Yes, December 2nd. He, late in the afternoon, issued an executive order dissolving the three boards and one commission that regulate the real estate market in Kentucky, and replaced it with four pseudo boards, basically giving all power to regulate our occupations to one man. Now, I wanted to give you a rundown of who I am. Why am I saying this? I got into the home inspection business in 1986, January of 1986. January 1st was my 31st year. I'm pretty passionate about my occupation, have been since I got into it. It has been my life's work. I founded the Kentucky Real Estate Inspectors Association in 1992. Served as its first president, served several years as president. I then was elected president again in 2000, during which time I had the pleasure of appointing the home inspectors to a task force that was joined with the realtors, with the building community, with the manufactured housing community, to write legislation implementing a licensing requirement for home inspectors in Kentucky. That bill was written and was passed the first time out, which is unheard of in politics. It was actually sponsored by Republicans and supported by most because of a couple of things. Number one, the board was created independent of other state agencies. In fact, the statute that created it says there is created an independent agency of state government to be known as the Kentucky Board of Home Inspectors, which shall be attached to the Office of Occupations and Professions in the Public Protection Cabinet for administrative purposes only. Okay, so it was created as independent. What does that mean? Well, that means that basically no taxpayer money could go to this board for its function. It had to survive on the fees that it collects from those of us in the business. When it issues a license, we have to pay a fee, and it's not inexpensive. That fee for a licensed home inspector, we pay $500 every 2 years, in addition to what the other things that we have to have in order to renew our license. So it's $500 per home inspector. Then it's also fees for education providers. They also have to pay a fee. None of this money comes from the taxpayer. In fact, the truth is, and I know this because I was appointed by Governor Ernie Fletcher as a founding member of the Board of Home Inspectors. I was reappointed by Governor Steve Beshear. I served as chairman of every committee and chairman of that board. I served 6.5 years on that board. And I can tell you right now, what happens is actually the taxpayers are presently profit from this board, because the governors have swept hundreds of thousands of dollars from the account of the Board of Home Inspectors over the last 10 years and taken it over to the general fund. That is the situation that has occurred over the last 10 years with the Board of Home Inspectors. I'm assuming that they've done similar things with the other boards and the Real Estate Commission. I just want to make sure that you understand the seriousness of Governor Bevin's actions and why it is that you need to take a stand against him. There are 10,000 realtors in Kentucky. there are nearly 400 licensed home inspectors. I'm not sure how many licensed appraisers and auctioneers there are. The governor has, by executive order, which he's tried this with other boards, University of Louisville Board of Trustees, for example, and the courts have overturned his executive orders. And I have no doubt that the court will overturn this one as well. But we still need to take a stand and tell Governor Bevin, with respect, that we don't appreciate this. But how is one man going to take on the job of the Real Estate Commission, the Board of Home Inspectors, the Board of Appraisers, and the Board of Auctioneers? One man that has no experience in any one of those occupations, never been licensed in any one of those fields. The gentleman that's been appointed, Larry Brown, has no experience. He is a political appointee. Basically, our law was created outside of the political system for a reason, because we did not want politics involved in our profession. I'm assuming that the same goes for the other professions. Our law created a board of home inspectors. There were 5 licensed home inspectors who had to meet certain qualifications in order to be appointed to that board. There was also one realtor, one representative of the building industry, a representative from the manufactured housing industry. And that's because that 1/3 of the houses sold in Kentucky are manufactured homes. And one citizen. We created it so we had a good opinion. We could get opinions from everybody involved before changes were made or laws created. The board has to have a quorum to meet and to do any business, and only a majority of the board, by a majority vote, can anything happen. In the case with the governor, one man. One man decides everything. And that man is appointed by the governor. This to me, if I was going to compare it to an action, a recent action, it's been in the news. Flint, Michigan. The Michigan governor did something similar with Flint, Michigan. He got rid of the city council by executive order, replaced it with a city manager, who then decided, well, we're just going to disconnect Flint, Michigan from their water source and give them water from the Flint River, which is known to be a problem with pollution and so on. But he didn't bother to take anybody's professional opinion or talk to anybody about it before he did it. He just did it. And the result has been thousands of people being poisoned by their water. Children, adults. It's a sad case. One person should never have authority in these areas. One person should. We live in a constitutional democracy. We don't live in a dictatorship. We don't have dictators. We don't have kings and queens for a reason. Our legislature writes laws. They go through a process. There is a dedicated process to write laws. This statute that created the Board of Home Inspectors went through a process. It was reviewed by numerous committees. It was then passed by both houses of the legislature. It was then signed by then Governor Ernie Fletcher, a Republican, creating this board. Now, Governor Bevin thinks that it's okay for him to come along and say, well, I don't like this law, so we're going to throw it away. And I'm going to issue an executive order instead in its place and just do away with everything the statute says, because you can't take part of it. You have to get rid of it all. He basically has told our legislature, I don't need you. I don't want you. I'm going to decide what the laws are in Kentucky. It's important that we tell Governor Bevin that he was elected governor, not dictator and not king. The legislature writes laws in this state. Now, if he wishes to make changes, he's well within his right as governor, respectfully, to propose those changes to the legislature, have them go through the legislative process, let our elected representatives discuss them, let us talk to our elected representatives about those, and then if we all find that, hey, it's a good idea, let's do it. But you don't do it by executive order late on a Friday afternoon during Christmas season when you think nobody's watching. Because Governor Bevin, I'm watching. Who am I? I'm a home inspector. I'm probably one of the oldest home inspectors in Kentucky. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this profession. I can tell you right now, my friends, as home inspectors, the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors has already stated they will not stand for this. We will be taking action. I am the president of the newly founded Kentucky State Chapter by request of Nick Gromyko, Executive Director of InterNACHI. I have formed a state chapter, and we have retained counsel on this matter and are discussing the matter at this time. I encourage all of my friends to take note. Now, KAR is looking at, if you're a realtor, KAR has petitioned to you to let them know what you think. I suggest that you do so. I spoke with Mr. Stevens last week concerning the matter, and he told me that they had petitioned you, and that's great. And, he was somewhat concerned when he said, well, we're going to go sit down and talk with the governor. Well, Mr. Stevens, with all due respect, if the governor cared one iota what you thought, he'd have come to you before issuing the executive order, not issue it late on a Friday afternoon during Christmas season. There would have been a lot of talk before to those of us in these professions. He doesn't care what we think. So, you do as you need to do and go talk with the governor. I think it's a fruitless attempt. But as realtors, I encourage you, take a stand. It's your profession. What do you think will happen if one person gets control of everything that you do? He decides what's legal and what's not legal. He decides how you do your business. And that person changes with every 4 years. With every new governor, a new person is appointed to that position. And he gets to change everything. Now, the Kentucky Real Estate Commission has been around almost 100 years. And it is probably one of the most stable regulatory bodies in this state because of how it's set up. Because it moves it's not affected by political climate. We need to maintain that separation, folks, in all of our boards and commissions. Again, I know this is kind of long, but I felt the need to get out there and to say what needs to be said. The executive order didn't give any grace period, didn't give any discussion, it didn't give anything. It just said immediately he dissolved these boards and commissions. Well, unfortunately, he can't dissolve statute. And I encourage any of you that may have been tapped to go serve on one of these pseudo boards that the governor's trying to create to deny that, to decline, because your actions will be outside of the law. The law is written in statute, and the governor has no authority to change statute. Only the legislature can do that, and that has to be done through legislative process. By the way, the word independent, if you're wondering, as I have told you, the Board of Home Inspectors was created an independent agency of state government. The legal definition of the word independent is not dependent, not subject to control, restriction, modification, or limitation by a given outside source. Pretty self-explanatory there. The word independent pretty much says, Governor Bevin, you're outside of your authority. Why don't you, Governor Bevin, one message to you. Man, I'm not trying to be mean to you, sir. I mean, I think you have some good ideas, but you'd get a lot farther if you came talk to the people instead of just trying to do things. You know, we're not, like I said, we're not a dictatorship. Come talk to us, you might get more accomplished because we might see and agree with some of the things you're trying to do. Just an idea. Hope you have a great day and a great week, and Merry Christmas to all of you.